it's Monday, and it's post-Revolution Monday, and obviously WWE Monday Night Raw. We have a lot to cover. It is Rumor and Innuendo. Plenty of Rumor, plenty of Innuendo, plenty of Robert Karpeles here today on Monday's episode of Rumor and Innuendo. Robert, how are you?
What an introduction. It's so nice to see you, Dominic DeAngelo. It's nice to see all of you here as well, joining us live across a number of platforms. Give a quick shout out to our friends at Podcast Heat for making this show possible, as well as streamed at SE Scoops. We're also on the Rumor and Innuendo YouTube page, not on ad-free shows today. I guess we were bumped by that bum, Jeff Jarrett.
Somebody's got stroke.
That louse. But we got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. And a comment here from Christopher Zanto. Good morning, gentlemen. What a great show. Very streamlined and efficient. A nice change for AEW. Dom, there really is no other way to start than talking the AEW Revolution pay-per-view.
Yeah, and I mean, let's start off where we should start off, at the ending of the show and Sting's last match. Very big pomp and circumstance, rightfully so. They had the cool trailer playing at the beginning of it, and then the match itself executed. Robert, what are your overall thoughts on the match itself going on with Sting? And it was a good send-off for the Icon.
All right, so I loved the video package beforehand. The him sitting in the theater. It some people have texted me. It looked like Nicole Kidman.
Yes.
It had a little bit of like. Have you seen Clerks 3?
No, I haven't seen Clerks 3.
Okay. Felt very much like a scene in Clerks 3 that I'm not going to get any further into. Production-wise, they really stepped it up. They made it feel big. They worked around the fact that they did not have access to Sting footage from WCW, NWA, TNA, WWE. They used some of the Japan footage that they had. They used still photos that they got probably from PWI. Highlighted a lot of his AEW stuff. It felt like a big moment. Him coming out with his sons, where they were dressed in Sting attire, where they looked bigger and more impressive than the Young Bucks. That's besides the point. The match was, I feel like I'm going to be in the minority on this. And I'm owning this. And this is not me being the AEW hater or the whatever. It didn't work for me the way that I feel like it seems to have worked for just about everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I don't need glass. I'm not a glass. I know you're dressed like Nick Gage right now in your black shirt and your white bandana.
MGK.
Sure. But I don't love glass. It's not something where I'm like, man, I really need this in order to enjoy a Sting match. The Darby spot, it was spectacular. Also felt unnecessary to me. You already had bought in heightened emotion. It's Sting's last match. You have the Greensboro crowd was white hot. You had the legends ringside. His sons were there. The emotion was there. I didn't need that extra little spectacle in order for me to be like, boy, what an amazing match it was. I also sort of question, and this is nitpicky, just how much the Young Bucks threw at Sting that Sting kicked out of before they really lose credibility. Again, not a huge Young Bucks guy. That's pretty well documented, but they hit the EVP trigger. They hit the TK driver, the double super kick, and Sting just kind of, gets up from all of them. I get that he's Superman. I get you're giving him a send-off. And if you want to view this out of continuity, fine. But they still have to show up on Wednesday. That's kind of the thing that was always instilled in us. The people that are still going to be there need to maintain some degree of value. And it really, in my opinion, hurt how I view the Young Bucks, because they gave so much to Sting, and it didn't work. And Sting still stood tall. That being said, the emotion of the match played out really well. Sting looked great. Bucks looked great. Darby looked great. Crowd was super into it. It was the right finish. I know some people thought it should have gone the other way. Absolutely should have ended. Sting with his hand raised. Everybody happy. I don't know that I would have let the post-match conversation continue, especially when you're ending this dramatic show on, hold on, I'm getting a time cue. and then it just cuts. But
What?
now that being said, Dom, what did you think of this match?
Yeah, so a lot of the apprehension of the glass spot and everything that really set in with me at first, because I look at Darby's back and then you see the specks of blood and then they just start growing, and you're like, that's kind of a distraction towards the match itself. Of I'm concerned about Darby, and I want to be more concerned about what's going on with Sting and the story that's being told there. But in the grand scheme of it all, Darby ended up being fine and things like that. And it kind of did add an element to the story of unpredictability. Okay, is Darby done? Is he coming back? Like, he looks gone. Like, he looks out of the match completely. So there was that kind of aspect that I kind of did appreciate of it. I also did like I thought the entrance was cool. The video package was so perfectly well done, I think, to set Sting up and give him this great send off. The Metallica, like Seek and Destroy, was just badass. Loved it.
See, to me, Sting's entrance was always Man Called Sting. So it's kind of like, I get it. It works. It was fun. I was always a WWF kid more than a WCW kid. I still watched both. But to me, it was always Man Called Sting. That was your song.
Yeah.
The strange thing is Tony announced that Darby is going to be wrestling Jay White at the Big Business show. So there really isn't this sell of like, what condition is Darby in? There were, again, a couple of moments in this match where I thought, this is your decisive finish, and it wasn't. I get why they did what they did. It was a fine send off to Sting. Hopefully, this is the swan song for Sting, but it kind of sounds like the door may be slightly still open.
It did. He mentioned in the media scrum, they got asked about maybe what Sting's future plans are. And Sting didn't rule out necessarily being still involved with AEW. But he did make clear, though, he did not want to be a manager if he were to come back. And he did not want to be an agent, like doing anything like that. Tony Khan did kind of like really hint at him wanting to stick around for 6 extra months for All In and everything like that. But Sting just knew it was time and things like that. So, I mean, I wouldn't be against him maybe in like almost like this authoritative role where he shows up once in a great while to kind of just, be the checks to the balances in a lot of ways. I think that would be kind of cool. Or him maybe booking a show, like quote unquote, booking a show to set up that Sting presents, almost something like that might be kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, this is a great send off for Sting. It was pretty neat to kind of just see that I think it was 28 or 29-0 starting off. And so like, wow, he was undefeated in AEW. And
he was undefeated in AEW, which was great. But the big thing is at his age, there was no embarrassing moments. There were no uncomfortable spots. If you watched Flair's last match, there was a lot of like, oh God, I hope Flair makes it through. Even the use of Flair here in that minimal amount, I think that paid off. It was great to see your co-host, Magnum TA. Strangest thing ever was when they're like, it's Magnum TA, it's Nikita Koloff, and Scotty Riggs.
Scotty Riggs, yeah, he looks good. They're talking about that whole DDP thing, and I think DDP was also backstage too there.
He was there. Luger apparently was there, but they did not. I don't think they showed him.
They didn't show either of them, probably because of the WWE ties and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think Luger maybe this is his year that he'll make it into the Hall. He doesn't want to upend stuff, but I think they would probably understand from that. Now you've got the tag titles vacated, so now you can move on to Tony's favorite thing in the world.
Tournament.
It's going to be a tournament. Oh man, I'm super excited about that. You watched the media scrum. Any other takeaways on the Sting component?
I think it was pretty cool. Sting talking, just kind of being open with the media too, and the people that were watching. I think really cool, funny that he mentioned the Warrior, like touring with the Warrior and how they were going to kill each other because they were both roided up and stuff like that. And he was like, "Hey, I'm just straight shooting here. That's what we were doing." He's like, "I gave that up in 1990, but he kept going." And just kind of getting that genuine person that Sting is, I thought was pretty cool and unexpected because Tony Khan didn't expect him to show up at that media scrum, and him and Darby ended up doing that. So that was kind of neat. Otherwise, from a perspective, no, just the gratitude that he showed. He mentioned that he talked to the Young Bucks backstage and did say that was like one of his top 3 favorite matches that he's been a part of. So,
you know what? He's an incredibly nice guy. No one in the business has anything bad to say about Sting. And for the longevity of his career, the companies he was working for at the times that he was there, that is insanely rare. And it's so cool that he got such a satisfying conclusion. And if you care about having a satisfying conclusion, can we talk to you about Blue Chew? Guys, this episode is sponsored by BlueChew.com. Remember the days when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up, BlueChew.com. Blue Chew is a unique online service, easy for me to say, that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but in chewable tablets and at a fraction of the cost. You can take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. Process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Guys, we saw Sting's last performance. He went the distance. He went over a half hour. Everyone was on their feet. And if that's the kind of ovation you want, then Blue Chew wants to help you have better sex. Discover your options at BlueChew.com. Chew it and do it. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code RUMOR at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com. Promo code RUMOR to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this episode of Rumor and Innuendo. And while I was reading that incredible Blue Chew read, it's why you guys are here. Breaking news. We are breaking some news here on Rumor. This isn't even on the run sheet, guys. I feel like Shivani here. The WWE just announced the first Hall of Fame inductee for 2024. Dom, you aware of who it is?
No clue. You're breaking it to me.
You are in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. There's only one guy to induct, and that is Paul Heyman.
My goodness.
Paul Heyman being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this coming April. I'm surprised, man. I am shocked because Paul is such a vital part of the storyline that we have going into WrestleMania this year. He is absolutely on the heel side of things with this Cody situation. So I also know that Paul over the years has said he does not want to go into the Hall of Fame until he is done. It's sort of a little bit of the Vince McMahon of him, but Paul Heyman, the inductee, it makes sense. You're in Philly. I am a huge Paul Heyman guy for a number of reasons. I will tell that story at some point on here. But Tom, real quick, let me get your reaction to this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, being Philadelphia, it makes perfect sense. On the One of a Kind podcast with RVD, when we had Sabu on there, I was asking Sabu, hey, what do you think about your own odds about getting in the Hall of Fame? And before he even said anything about himself, he was like, Paulie should get in before anybody else. And I think that'll kind of convey ECW for this year. So sure enough, there he is. And it's going to be an interesting dynamic because, yeah, he's in this massive heel role on television, but he's got that endearing fan base in Philadelphia. It's the home of ECW. They're not that far off from Swanson and Rittner, so it's pretty wild. It's a good first induction, I think, announcement.
We'll get into it definitely a lot further once it's officially announced on Raw. But I think the one minor takeaway, and then we'll get back to AEW, is it's going to be very tough for him to do a Hall of Fame induction and not mention Brock Lesnar.
It's a great point.
There's like 17 hours left of this AEW pay-per-view, really, and we've only got 15 minutes. Guys, I'm going to spoil it right now. Billy and the CW ain't happening today.
Sorry, guys. Maybe Monday after the Tuesday after Raw here, we can tackle Billy and the CW. But let's tackle something here. One of the match before the main event, it was the world title match. It was Samoa Joe, Hangman Page, Swerve Strickland, and Samoa Joe comes out on top, submitting Hangman Page in the middle of the ring after Hangman did a lot of chicanery of beating up referees and officials and everything like that. But Swerve looked mighty strong in that match. Robert, what did you think of that main event bout?
Triple threat matches are always difficult. Three ways, however you want to call them. I think they did a good job with what they were trying to convey. Hangman as this deranged heel character that he's becoming, it worked. I think his paranoia played in well. The attacking the referees, the fact that he was focusing on Swerve rather than going for the title, had the visible pin. They hit all the notes they needed to. It felt a little long at certain points, and I thought the finish they could have gone to a little sooner than they ultimately got to. The other one, and this is kind of unfortunate, I did not love Jim Ross on commentary here.
Didn't you? Okay.
I'm thrilled that he's back. It's great to hear JR. He slips too much into the grilling JR persona now.
Mm-hmm.
The cranky JR versus the plugged in announcer, where it feels a little disingenuous when he's talking a lot of the time. So when it's taking away from your matches, I don't love it. There's a lot of ways for them to go. I think Joe, as the champion going forward, smart decision. You have a story with Swerve and Hangman. The idea that Hangman tapped to prevent Swerve from winning versus him losing is cool. And it sounds as though we're not going to get Adam Page for a little while.
Yeah, it sounds like he's going on a leave of some sort, whether it's injury, whether it's personal issues, whatever it may be. But yeah, he might be off television. But again, with AEW and how they're laid out, it's like people going away for a while is probably not a bad thing, And if you want, you can still have Hangman come back in that paranoid, heelish kind of like selfish role. So I don't think that there's an issue. I think Swerve is set up very well in that match. Ultimately, like I don't think he's lost anything just because he lost the match. So I think he's in good position. Some other matches: Tony Storm defeated Deonna Purrazzo. Christian Cage defeated Daniel Garcia in the opening bout. Roderick Strong beat Orange Cassidy for the international title with the return of Kyle O'Reilly. Did that stand out to you, Robert? That was obviously like they build that match up so oddly, but here we got a title change and a big return.
I think we predicted on here Strong was going to win this because they needed to kind of forward this Devil United Kingdom, making it worthwhile thing. It was a straight up match. It was good back and forth. The crowd was a little disconnected early on in this because I think in part the show had such incredible wrestling almost from start to finish that matches are going to pale in comparison, even though they were very good matches. Kyle O'Reilly coming back and not sure what side he's going to be on, him versus Roderick Strong. That could be fun. But we'll see. We'll see where they're going. I get why you wanted to take it off Orange Cassidy. If this Roderick Strong, the serious Roderick Strong, the guy who's not screeching and goofy is what we're going to get, you'll get a lot of killer matches. You can use this for Collision, Rampage, even some Dynamite stuff. It's it was fine. Not to say it was a bad match, but it was just kind of there.
Yeah. I think some of these matches overall kind of had that tone in a certain way. But they were different in their own rights. I really liked Eddie Kingston versus Bryan Danielson. I don't know. It's just if it's because I liked it, both competitors and stuff like that. And I like both guys a lot.
That's a perfect example of incredible match. I enjoyed the hell out of it. And you almost forget that it happened. If this was on any other kind of pay-per-view anywhere else, this could be a match of the year.
Right.
But then you're comparing it to what else you had. And it's a little bit of an embarrassment of riches where every match that you had with these guys is always it's always very solid. You're telling a great emotional story. The finish was a little flat for me, but that's a minor nitpick. You got the handshake afterwards. You put this to bed. I think Brian is a guy you can heat up at any point in time, and I would point him at Samoa Joe at some point in the future and get a solid summer match there. And there's only 92 more matches for us to talk about.
That's it. No, I liked Eddie Kingston. I think he was very over with that crowd. I loved Renee talking backstage about him and him not even cutting a promo, him just walking out to the ring. I thought that was kind of a cool little.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah, very nice touch. FTR John Moxley, very cool. Them walking out in LOD gear, kind of cool. Good match overall. We had the scramble. Wardlow won that, baby. Wow, that was a little head scratcher.
So hold on. So I I want to pray. I thought the FTR Blackpool match elevated what they did previously. It was a very physical match. It was a very good match. Strange booking at the end, just because I felt like BCC were the heels who choked out Dax and were evil, and they get the win, and everyone's just kind of like, all right. But match was excellent. That Wardlow All-Star match was a mess. That was the only blemish really on this main show, Dom.
Yeah. Well, okay. People have been talking about this as a match of the year, early match of the year candidate already. Will Ospreay versus Konosaka. I had it in my head.
Konosuke Takeshita.
Thank you.
Takeshita. It rolls off the tongue.
It does roll off once you get it, but I can't. On air, I can't get it.
So,
what do you think of that, though, Robert?
If you watch that match on mute, that was a 5-star classic. Don Callis on commentary, just I'm glad we got a clean match. I'm glad that they've held back the notion of what's ultimately going to lead to the rift. Even the tease with Kyle Fletcher after, where they were squaring off, and then they do the United Empire symbol. So now it's like, well, are they aligned with that? Are they aligned with the family? They're facing each other on Dynamite. What's going to ultimately happen? It told the story beautifully. The match was incredible. Ospreay in AEW. If this is what we're getting, we're going to be eating well.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do on Dynamite. He was listed as questionable, according to Tony Khan, for this match after his bruised butt was shown to the media. Hey, geez,
what the hell goes on in these press conferences, man?
I know, right? This gets a little risque here. I did appreciate Tony Storm calling the media yellow communist journalism, which was very funny. I wrote this rundown and I completely forgot to talk about SmackDown on it. Put SmackDown on this, where heck, we had an epic promo by The Rock.
Like that, you think they can see the rundown? You can just fake it. Like you had this all planned,
I want to be forthright, Robert. I can't pronounce names right. I have to just be straightforward.
You're a wrestling journalist. You don't have to be forthright about anything.
You can anything just I want.
Bold, wild claims with no ramifications, and we'll see what happened. It is nice that it's the day after an AEW pay-per-view, and we're talking about how great the pay-per-view was, and not any Tony-related weird extracurricular anythings. No. They're building. WWE is building. This is a hell of a time to be a wrestling fan, man. This is the best. And it's nice to be positive about wrestling. It's not my usual brand. It feels weird, but SmackDown was as close to a perfect show for WWE as you can get. Like from beginning to end, you had a really well-built, strong show. But the biggest takeaway, the thing that's going to have ramifications going forward, is Rock and Roman challenging Cody and Seth to a tag match. As much as I did not want there to be a tag match, as much as I'm opposed to them doing the tag match, this is the world we live in, kids. Strap in. The stipulation is if Rock and Roman lose, the bloodline is banned from ringside for the Cody Roman match. But if they win, it's bloodline rules. Dom, what's your gut telling you on this? What are you thinking?
So a lot of hints dropped, I think, in this promo here. Rock acknowledging Roman Reigns as the travel street just straight out, and then pointing the finger up in the air, and Paul Heyman giving a look to that finger. There was a lot set up. I think what's going to happen is Cody and Seth will lose, I think, on night one. It will be bloodline rules. And then The Rock will be the fail-safe, ultimate undercover fail-safe for Cody on night two. And then you'll Cody finishes his story at WrestleMania by winning the title. And then you set up a whole new storyline for the bloodline with some potential new people coming in. So
we got like 30 something days to go or 20 something days till WrestleMania. I don't have my countdown in front of me, but we'll have plenty of time to pontificate on that, assuming this match happens, because on Raw tonight, we're going to get the Cody and Seth response. Yep. And who knows what they're going to do, but come on, guys. Let's pretend. Let's play along. The SmackDown was great. I think Raw is going to be a really fun show. They've already announced the Drew McIntyre Jey Uso match, which will give them another opportunity for Drew to get a signature win due to outside interference to further the Jimmy and Jay story. It's a good 2-3 segment match. It's creative brain timing that sucker out. I think it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Becky Lynch, Nia Jax is also going to be a match on television. I'm guessing Liv will play some sort of spoiler in this one. Again, my standard disclaimer is I just hope Nia doesn't hurt anyone.
I think this will be a match where Becky gets her win back too, because Nia beat her clean. So
yes, so Becky needs to get her win back theoretically. I can also see her about to get her win back, and then Liv costs her the match, since that's what happened the week prior. But we'll tune in and see. And then what's going on with the Intercontinental title?
Yeah, there's a match to determine who Gunther's WrestleMania 40 opponent will go down. I don't know the details exactly of the match itself, because that's all the information I gathered from it. I didn't know there was. I mean, they teased how many people for that title to potentially happen, or for somebody to earn it. But
it's going to be an all-star scramble.
Going to be a scramble. Going to be a scramble, guys.
God, I hope not. That all-star scramble was. I didn't even. So real quick, here's the thing, guys. Yeah. This is why it felt like they booked a Money in the Bank ladder match and forgot the ladder.
Yeah.
And you saw just how West Side Story this match was. It was so choreographed with, it's now the 4 big guys. Now it's the 4 little guys. Now it's these guys. It was too much of that. It felt weird. We don't need Chris Jericho out there anymore. This would have been fine for a Dynamite. This would have been great for a Dynamite match, quite frankly.
Yeah.
You should go to commercial, give the fans a little bit to breathe. You put in that little box while they're advertising, I don't know, Domino's or Blue Chew, promo code Rumor. No, the Pizza Hut ads on Raw. I can't stand those Pizza Hut ads. They annoy the pizza. I won't even do it. It annoys the hell out of me. But I think the last takeaway from all this is, we pontificated, we guessed, we thought last week, what's going to be this AEW Dynasty, Dom? And we got the answer.
We did. We got it. It's a pay-per-view, and it's very soon. Like April 21st, AEW Dynasty will take place in St. Louis. And that's something Tony Khan mentioned in the scrum, that he was asked about Dynasty and the name of it and the significance. And he said, I think this is going to be a big year for AEW. And I think we are going to show the start of building a dynasty moving forward when it comes to the company. So that's kind of where his thought process was when getting this name and trademarking it, and ultimately having it as a pay-per-view. Is this a good move on AEW's part to have a pay-per-view so followed up after Revolution? Then you have Double or Nothing and all these other events kind of circulating around it too as well.
I guess we'll see what they're ultimately going to do. I mean, this pay-per-view certainly delivered. People seem very happy with it. I'm happy. I'm beguiled by there's a quote here from Antonio Santos, who just put in the comments, toss salad and scrambled eggs. Anytime we're going to get a Frasier reference on this show, I'm here for it. I'm also here for Dominic DeAngelo's other podcasts. So, Dom, where else can the fine folks hear you this week?
Well, thank you for mentioning it, Robert. Yes,
it's in the run sheet that you put here. Okay. It just said, talk about how great I am.
Listen, kayfabe, Robert, please.
Oh, Tom, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me at Dominic DeAngelo on X, but you can also find me at One of a Kind with RVD every Monday at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, Rob talks about the passing of Virgil, the passing of Ole Anderson, and how both had some pretty big significance early moments in his career.
By the way, can we talk about real quick the fact that Virgil kayfabed his age, and he was actually 10 years older than everyone thought he was?
Yeah.
That is the best Kaiser Soze reveal.
Yeah, guys, he was like 72, apparently.
God bless Virgil for that. Just absolutely fantastic.
What a way to go out, huh?
You got the Rob Van Dam podcast. You've got your
Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA and Greg Gagne. Magnum backstage with Hangman Page. He sent me a picture. We're going to talk about that this week. But this week coming up on Tuesday, the new episode will drop. We cover Ole Anderson. It's some great stories on that. So tune into that. GagneMagnum.com, RVDTV.com. Tune into that. Robert, they got to tune into Wrestle Roast too, don't they?
They do have to tune into Wrestle Roast. My other podcast drops once a week with my co-hosts Dan St. Germain, Scott Chaplin, and Mike Lawrence. That's available wherever you get podcasts, as is this show. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. Love for you to drop a 5-star review. We're also streaming on all the various X, Twitter thingies, WW Creative _ISH, Dominic DeAngelo, Rumor and Innuendo, Podcast Heat, SE Scoops. We have not one, Dom, but 2 guests locked down between now and WrestleMania. More on that. It's gonna be big. One of them, I have a feeling, is going to have some thoughts on Paul Heyman's induction. But stay tuned for that. Stay tuned every day from noon to Eastern. It's fun to be here live to interact with you guys. If you don't catch us live and you catch us on the replay, we hope you enjoy it, doing whatever you're doing. Let us know in the comments, what your thoughts are, what's going on. But until then, on behalf, you gave a weird look. I was about to say something nice and you took it away. I took it. Oh, now you're pointing at the Wolverine thing. Fine. On behalf of the Wolverine bandana, Dominic DeAngelo, I'm Robert Karpeles. Best of luck in your future endeavors.